The Guardians' September mad dash has finally paid off. They are now masters of their own fate when it comes to the 2025 playoffs, and they come home to try to finish the improbable redemption arc.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into a victory Monday all across Cleveland. Now, I know the Guardians didn't win on Sunday, but you know what? They won 3 of 4. They are in control of their own fate when it comes to the playoff race. This is Locked On Guardians, the only place for you to get daily Cleveland Guardians content on the podcast webs. And we're covering the Guardians, the majors, the minors, the draft, everything in between, and we're glad you're here with us. I am Justin Lada, one of your two co-hosts, been here since September 2022. It's 3 years, and I've been covering the Guardians minor league farm system for the last 18 years.
Of course you should know it's 3 years. You just got your little alert with all of your congratulations.
I did.
I am Jeff Ellis. I'm your other co-host here. I've been here since Locked On expanded into baseball 6 years ago. Before that, I was a national writer at Scout and 24/7 focused on prospects in the draft. I want to thank you for making today's episode your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. And I guess a special shout out to Mia the cat, who's an everydayer, who's here for all of our recording, as well as all of our other everydayers out there who listen, download. She does not download. So we appreciate all of you who set that to daily catch the show. And a special shout out after Friday's episode, at least in terms of what we do, exploded. So thank you all for having fun with us while this season has gotten a lot more fun.
Yes, continues to be fun. All right, on today's show, we'll talk about how the Guardians avoided a letdown in Minnesota. Again, we know they lost on Sunday, but the series overall successful, considering everything else that went into it. We'll talk about Bo Naylor also having a bad finish to the season, whether or not this is just another mirage or if this is something that is believable. And we'll talk about the playoff race, the scenarios in today, and how the Guardians now control their own fate when it comes to the postseason in 2025. As we get into it, today's episode of Locked On Guardians is brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Go to 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. I really watched this entire series it basically was a playoff series. I know everything has kind of been a playoff series for a while now, if they wanted to stay in this, like staying around the hunt. And I'm trying to remember exactly what it was when it started, where it was like, oh, they might have a shot at this. I can't remember what it was, but every game, like every passing day over the weekend, especially, like I was covering a high school football game Friday, and in the press box at the game, we were watching the Guardians game. I had some family invite me out to watch the Browns game on Sunday, and I said, I'm only going out if I can watch the Guardians game. Like, everything right now is about the Guardians. And I'm very curious to know, our listeners, how their watching habits have changed this month. Like, were you kind of checked out? Were you just checking in a little bit? Were you watching, but maybe not sitting down? Was it appointment television viewing? Because now it is appointment viewing. Like, every pitch, especially today on Sunday, felt like it was a playoff game. It felt very on edge the whole time, I would say, for me. And it's just unbelievable. Like, I had to look it up. I was like, what's the last time a team has lost 10 in a row in a season and also won 10 in a row? And shockingly enough, the Indians also did this in 2008. Now, that team wasn't quite as good. I hope this one's better. That team, by the time second half rolled around or September rolled around, they were out of any playoff race. So it
was their sell-off, right? Like, that's when they traded away CC, was in 08, wasn't it?
Yes, CC, and then the next year, then 09 was Victor and Cliff Lee. So
yeah. Was Lee that year, or was he after? Was it Victor and I can't remember.
Well, Lee won the Cy Young in 08.
Wait, and then
09 he got traded to Philadelphia.
Which is, one of those great apocryphal stories that supposedly at the time they called the Dodgers and said, we'll trade you Martinez and Lee for Clayton Kershaw because they liked him so much as a prospect. And the Dodgers said no. And it's just, you have to bring it up now since we just saw Kershaw's last regular season start. You got that opportunity to mention that. Yeah, I unfortunately, I'll be very honest with everyone. My daughter's birthday was this past week, and Sunday was when we had scheduled the birthday party because Saturday was a soccer game. So we have to, when you have kids, you have to balance things out. So of course that came to pass. So I think after about the third inning, I texted Justin. I'm like, I'm going to miss the rest of this one. So yeah, if you want to come at me, then I guess be mad at me that I'm trying to be a good parent and prioritizing my kids first. But we had fun. I kept checking on the scores and just getting frustrated. But again, if you take 3 out of 4, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier this year. If you keep winning series, you're going to make the postseason. Like I made that statement when there were some ups and downs, and when they were winning a lot of series in the first half of the year, it's like all you got to do is keep winning series. And they had some points where they weren't. But here we go at the end of the year. I mean, if they take 2 out of 3 and 2 out of 3, I think they're in the postseason. I honestly believe that at this point. If
they win 4 out of their final 6,
yeah.
they're in.
So it's
yeah.
I mean, would I have loved to have the win today and be tied heading into the weekend? Absolutely. And if you had asked me what was the most likely game for them to win all weekend, the one I would have had the most faith in them winning, it would have been Sundays because of the pitching matchup. But they did not have their best game, and we'll get into that. But more importantly, though, it's like everything was in stasis today, and right now they control their destiny, and right now they are the team in the third wild card. And it's
they're finally getting help too. Like this all changed. Like the Guardians have been playing great baseball all month long. Like the offenses during this 10-game winning streak, obviously, they scored 7 because of a outburst in extra innings in Detroit. But they put up, 14, 22 runs in three games against Minnesota on Friday through Saturday. They only allowed 2, which, for a while they really shrunk their run differential. I guess they still have a negative run differential, which is crazy to me, but we were looking that up before the show. And other teams have done it before, but they
11.
came very close. Yeah, they've come very close to erasing their run differential. Now they'll probably still, if they're going to get in the playoffs, I bet you they'll do it just because of the amount of games they have to win at this point to erase it. But I also want people to know how crazy this is, because we've talked ad nauseum. I think everybody has at this point, the 10-game losing streak, the 1-9 stretch, the 2 pitchers who are out for the gambling investigation, the injuries. The MLB Network put up a graphic about the best outfields in baseball and their total Fangraphs WAR, and I was like, oh, that's great and all, but guess what? The Guardians are in possession of a playoff spot, and they have a negative WAR for their outfield. Their outfield has a negative point. Now it's almost a 0, but it's 0.0 negative 2. They have a negative outfield WAR. But I want people to realize just how improbable this is. And if you're watching, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but if you're watching on YouTube, I'll try to do my best description. If you're watching on YouTube, this was the playoff race month by month in the American League. The Guardians were pretty much flatlined coming into September, even though they played, kind of good at the end of August, right? They finished August on a good note. They were 14-13, and they took 2 or 3 from Tampa Bay. They took 2 or 3 from Seattle, got back to 500. But they this winning streak has propelled them to the top, rising like a roller coaster here. And now the Guardians, what did I say, Jeff, off air before we got into this? Because it's changed. But they have a 35% chance of winning the AL Central. They came into Sunday with a 37% chance to win the AL Central. The Tigers started the month at 99% chance to win the Central. Now, 99% is not 100%, and we're finding that out right now. The Tigers are finding that out. But all month about how good the Guardians are playing, and they're not getting any help. But guess what? They stayed hot. The Tigers lost it. The Astros got swept at home by Seattle, who doesn't play well on the road. The Red Sox, maybe inconsequential, but they lost a few in Boston. The Guardians finally got some help. The Rangers kept losing, so they're off the Guardians' backs. It is down to a 3-team race now for that last wild card spot. It is the Tigers, it is the Guardians, it is the Astros. One of those teams is not going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
no, I was just going to say there's a very good chance that could be both Cleveland and the Tigers playing each other in October again. So they could be playing 3 this week and then playing 3 the following week. It just depends on if it's in Detroit or it's in Cleveland. All right, we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about Bo Naylor's changes at the plate. We'll get into the Minnesota series as a whole coming up on this episode of Locked On Guardians. Stick with us.
But first, I just had my entire webpage closed. Zippix Toothpicks. This is one of our fantastic new sponsors. You can see that mine is open. Why is it open? Because I love using Zippix. It is a fantastic product. It is a product that I am using almost daily because it's a nice, quick way to get caffeine. And this episode is brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with nicotine-infused and caffeine-infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides just a great way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligrams or 3 milligrams of nicotine as options. If you need energy without crash, their toothpicks are a game changer. That's where I love them. End of the day, throwing a toothpick for me during my last planning period helped me get the energy to finish my day. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com. Use the code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix Toothpicks.
We all need a lot of caffeine right now to watch Guardians baseball, to sit there and have the energy to keep up with the ups and downs of this playoff race. And caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins, nutrients, 0 sugar, 0 crashes. These are very portable. They've got great taste. They're a tiny shot. You can chug that thing back anywhere you need a boost. I had one Friday when I was covering high school football because I worked all day, had to cover a high school football game, had to walk by a very steep set of bleachers, which was really fun. Wouldn't have got through that Friday without that boost of caffeine. It was very, very tasty. So get rid of the boring caffeine in your life that's flavorless. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store, online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Appreciate y'all being here with us every single day. We love being part of your routine here on Locked On Guardians. Proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Make sure you're hitting the bell on YouTube. I know lots of you are, because our videos have gone way up. So keep doing that and get us closer to 5,000 subscriptions. I think we're closing in on 60 subscriptions until we get to 5K, and then auto download on audio so we can be in your audio feeds as well. I also want to give some quick shout outs too. Dr. Priscilla Smith said, listen to you and Jeff first thing every weekday. Look for the shorts. And Lakula on Blue Sky said that we have made watching baseball somehow even more fun for her, that we have been part of her routine, and she didn't think it was possible to love baseball more, and we're making it more fun for her. So that's what we strive to do here, is make it more fun to be a Guardians fan. We love talking baseball, but if we're making it more fun and making people pay more attention and just enjoy it a little bit more, that's the best thing.
Just 30 away from 1,000. Just 30 away.
30 away. By the time you're listening to this, we could be over 5,000, and you could be our 5,000 subscriber. That would be, I don't know if we have anything to give away for that, but we can think of something. David, get us a Rally Dino shirt to give away. I'll wear one on the show. Got the Rally Dino here.
I guess maybe, is that the thing? I guess we got to look into our contracts. Can we start making TeePublic things? I created a TeePublic account on Friday.
Look at that.
Do we start doing a Rally Dino? I'll check with our station manager and see if we can do some gear through TeePublic.
All right, so you were gonna mention something about the playoff race before we went to break. So before we get to the Bo Naylor of it all, did you have something?
The question is, how well will it stick in my 45-year-old mind after I just had the excitement of my entire computer crashing out, losing my ad read and everything there? So hopefully everyone appreciated the sheer terror on my face when that happened. But when it comes to this playoff race, the team and where they are right now, it is. You're looking at a situation where, yes, they have 2 tough teams they got to face. Yet, and I got my point back, while it had been a while, and it felt like, the funny thing is, like, the teams they needed to lose never lost, but it's the other teams. It's, we were focused for a while on, like, I mean, Boston is losing now, but it's like we were so focused on Seattle. Then Houston started to lose, and that's what they needed, right? Like, it would have been better if, I get better. We'll have to see. Maybe it would have been better if Texas had beat Houston or not. It's going to depend a bit, but Detroit started to lose. It's actually the teams we weren't as focused on, a week ago that were the teams that came back. So teams were losing, but it's just the unlikely team. So we weren't focused in on them. If Houston doesn't make it, it'll be their first time, I think I read, in 6 years that they haven't made the postseason. And
since 2016, they didn't make it in 2016.
Okay, so
the last time.
And then for Detroit, it's going to be like, this is, I mean, if Cleveland ends up getting there, and I don't know what the tiebreaker is with Houston, Detroit, I'd have to look that up, and I didn't before the show. Sorry, I didn't do that preparation. But like, if the Houston makes it and Detroit doesn't, like, this is going to go down as like the most epic collapse of the last 50 years. Like, no team has ever done what Cleveland has done so far. Now they got to finish it. Let's be very honest. Like, if this ends up being like 2004, where like they really, everything was going great for that 2004 team. I love that. Was it 2004, 2005? It was a great fun team. And then the last week they just,
that was 05.
It was 05. It was like I felt like the Royals and the White Sox, and like the White Sox had nothing to play for. This is in my mind, so I could be wrong. And then they fell on their face in the last week of the season.
Well, so, like, it was the White Sox. They lost the final 3 games of that weekend series.
And the White Sox were like all wrapped up. They were playing all their backups. They had nothing to play for, and Cleveland had, and they just couldn't get together. So unless that happens, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Maybe I'm even throwing it out there, hoping I can reverse jinx things, because it feels like every time I get my reverse jinx powers have been high this year. But yeah, looking at this team, that is what I wanted to just say. It's like there has been some of that, and they're in a great situation right now.
Yeah, they sure are. They came into the month 10. September 1st started. They were 10.5 to make up 10 games in less than a month of the season. This late too is just ridiculous. So it speaks to just Cleveland being relentless and keeping the pressure on and winning. And while the Tigers, for those two things to converge is just pretty incredible at the same time. So Bo Naylor, the Guardians would not be where they are without Bo Naylor. Like, I literally texted you on Saturday before game 2 of the doubleheader, and I said, do the Guardians actually have to have, does Bo Naylor have to DH? Because I was like, this entire run in September, now everyone has contributed. Like, Bo Naylor has the highest WRC plus the team in the month of September. Everybody has contributed, but nobody has been more impactful than Bo Naylor. He has 13 RBI. He's got 3 home runs. Again, he's got the highest WRC plus, the highest WAR on the team in the month of September. And I was like, do they have to put him in the lineup in game 2 as the DH? Because if they don't, is their offense going to suffer? Now, it didn't, but the changes we're seeing. So Justin Morneau, and one of our insiders tipped me off on this. Justin Morneau on the Twins broadcast broke down the changes by Bo Naylor this month. And Bo Naylor, he's been telling Cleveland reporting, I've just simplified things. I'm not thinking about the adjustments. I'm just going up to the box and hitting and not worrying about all the adjustments I'm trying to make. And he's trying to keep his mind clear of when you think about, it's the same as a pitcher. When you think about all the pieces of your body that move, you tend to overthink it. You're getting too mechanical. But he's also introduced the toe tap since August. So Justin Morneau, and it's on Reddit.
It's the twist. It's the twist. He had a toe tap. He had a full foot.
Well, he didn't have a full leg lift, but he wasn't tapping the toe either. It wasn't a.
Well, no, he was stepping into it when you look at the video, and then he's now doing a twist. He's actually kind of reduced back on the video on his overall movement.
Yeah, but he didn't have the front foot down the way he did on the tip of his front toe. He's got the front tip of his toe down, and that's making him a little more rotational. It's keeping him back on the ball. And instead of popping things up to left field, instead of getting under the ball, he's staying through the ball. And it's just made his timing a whole heck of a lot better this month. I've never seen, we've seen Bo Naylor have good months before in September, particularly, two of
He's Mr. September.
He is Mr. September, which is great timing for them. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's definitely changed, but I would not be surprised. I'm not going to bet against him and say this is just a mirage. I think there is a chance. I'm not saying there is, but It's for sure. But I think there is a chance that what he's doing here might lead to a breakout. Like this might be something that's more, I'm not saying he's going to have a 175 WRC plus, but we might have something here that might be something he can do going forward. I'm going to let myself get hurt again. I'm ready to be hurt.
I was gonna say, it's just I do like that there's a mechanical change we can track back to. That gives me some slight hope. But I'm the doubting Thomas. I gotta see this. I gotta see an extended run before I'll believe Mr. September.
No, I agree 100%. Like I definitely want to see it over a different month as well. But like you said, at least there is some actual change we can look at instead of just saying, well, he's just getting a little luckier. No, he's hitting the ball in better directions and all that stuff. All right. We'll talk about the Minnesota series as a whole in our final segment. Talk about how the Guardians were able to sweep a doubleheader, a team that couldn't win doubleheaders a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that and heading into the Tigers series and the off day ahead on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians.
But first, you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth and thought, sure, like that works. There are so many products out there, it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just the hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root areas of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. I love 2 main parts here. Dermatologist, so that's a doctor recommending, and clinically tested. Trust the science. If you're going to go and do, something to make yourself better, always trust the science. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. So see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB.
We know that everybody is trying to do a better job these days, trying to track their money. And I'm one of those people. I was actually having a conversation with a family member over the weekend about tracking their money, 401ks, properties, investments. If you don't have the full picture, you can leave money on the table. In this day and age, it's a dangerous thing to do. And that's why there is Monarch Money for people like you and me. We are busy. You need an all-in-one personal finance tool that's going to help us bring our financial lives together. And it's going to be just a one easy-to-use interface. You're not going to have to go multiple apps. You're not going to have to do spreadsheets. That would be the death of me. It is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, like maybe I have at times, Monarch Money is for you. It's definitely for me. It does the heavy lifting for us. Link your accounts in just minutes, see clear data visuals, get a categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, Jeff, the Guardians on Saturday. We had to go look it up. The Guardians had not swept the doubleheader since 2022, which actually tracks because 2023, this team didn't do anything good, really. And we had a commentary. My buddy Lance tweeted at you and said Jeff deserves credit because you have been saying all year that for everybody who was frustrated that this is not as bad as 2023. And lo and behold, it's not because they are having a chance at the playoffs. So shout out to Lance. Shout out to, I know he's an everyday or two and a big Guards fan.
I appreciate him saying that. The hand was just like, I don't need to. The play is justified in my
Let somebody else call out your wins rather than you. That's what I say. Let somebody else track your wins. Pitcher wins don't mean anything, but podcast wins mean everything. That's how we track everything here. So they hadn't swept a doubleheader since 2022, which, again, doesn't shock me because we talked about last year how bad this team was in doubleheaders. And just even winning a game last year in a doubleheader, we were like, oh, my God, they won a game in doubleheaders. Yep. Now they swept one. Not only did they sweep a doubleheader, they shut the Twins out for, I think, 20 straight innings. They had 18 shutout innings on Saturday, and I think the Twins scored in like the 6th or the 7th on Friday. So it was like 20-something straight innings they shut. And I know the Twins offense.
And then number into Sunday as well. So it's like it was probably between Friday, Sunday, and Friday, Sunday. Yeah, it was. I mean, the starting pitching was phenomenal. It's like I messaged you. I'm like, I know Bo was having a great game because he was, but like I was like, man, the big thing here to me is Slade going 7 innings. Like the bullpen has had a lot of use of late. This is fantastic. And then Logan Allen was like, hold my root beer and goes 8, and has his start of the year, and one of the best starts of his career, and goes out and gets things done. And again, we'll point out like this Twins team has its ups and downs, but like they actually have been pretty good against left-handed pitching this year for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice game for Allen. The pitching was fantastic. We talked about Bo Naylor over the weekend. Friday night, we really didn't talk about this in the pregame, but we had a text discussion about like, will Junis take $5 million again? Can we bring Junis back? Like after he had he was pretty, like, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And Jake Junis was a pretty valuable player. I know we were debating like who should they have gone to instead of Festa on Sunday. And I'll say now, the guy I should have said when we were discussing that is like Junis, like, because we know Festa is not good with a guy on.
Junis pitched on Saturday though.
Did he? I had forgotten.
He pitched. Maybe Junis didn't.
Because they only needed 1 inning and.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. It should have been Jake Junis.
It should have been Junis over, because here's the thing. I will defend Matt Festa. I know there's a lot of Festa haters out there, and I think Festa has been useful, but I think Festa does not do what he has demonstrably been bad when there's guys on base. So it's like you want to send him in a clean inning, not in that situation. So they probably should have actually gone with Junis there.
Yeah, Colby Allard. Colby Allard finally pitched in Detroit in high leverage because he had to. There was no other choice. And he came through with flying colors. And then finally, optimally, the Guardians got him into the game in game 1 behind Slade Cecconi. So he hadn't pitched in like 2 weeks, and then he pitched twice in a week. And then Zach Kent, my buddy Brian has been texting me. He's like, I want to see Zach Kent pitch. Not because he loves Zach Kent, but he wants a game where they're winning by enough where you can bring Zach Kent into the game and take the shoulder or the load off the shoulders of the other relievers. And I said, all right, you finally got Zach Kent on Saturday night's nightcap of the doubleheader, because they beat Bailey Ober in the doubleheader. Now, I mean, the Twins are not a good baseball team right now. Let's be honest. Their offense isn't good. But Joe Ryan is still a good pitcher.
Yes.
And Jose Ramirez,
good data
Bo
this year
Naylor,
too.
Bo Naylor, Jose Ramirez, George Valera, all homing off Joe Ryan. That's a legit attack against him. They had 5 home runs, I think, on during the day game off of Joe Ryan. Like, they beat a legitimate starter in that game, and they crushed him. And Cecconi was awesome. And then in nightcap, Bailey Ober is a guy that's given this team fits. And that's kind of like the thing for me that stood out. Yeah, they swept a doubleheader. That, like I said last year, we were just hoping they won a doubleheader game. But they swept a doubleheader, and they beat Bailey Ober. Like, they got to the 6th or the 5th inning, and they finally exploded for 6 runs. And they got 2 runs to start that inning. And then Jose Ramirez beat out a 2-out infield single, and then 4 runs followed that after that. So not only did they beat Bailey Ober, but they were up 2-0. Jose Ramirez hustles out an infield single, and that allowed 4 more runs to score. That was a huge point for me, I think, over the weekend. It was just like, these are all things they're playing. They're doing the little things really well. There's great defense. I mean, Petey Halpin, we haven't talked about him. Petey Halpin is up. He had his first career hit. He scored a run. People were really impressed with his speed. We could dive more into Petey Halpin tomorrow if we want, because I know we're talking Daniel Espino tomorrow as well. I know someone's going to comment and say, well, I know Espino talk. We'll get into that on Tuesday's show. But Zach Kemp pitched in back-to-back days. I know it's because they lost on Sunday, but they beat Bailey Ober. They don't beat Bailey Ober. Joe Ryan's really good. And like you said, the game they probably should have won. They wish they should have lost one of those games. You're on mute, so whatever you're saying doesn't really
St. Pablo Lopez was Friday, and St. Pablo Lopez was Friday. It's not like he's a slouch. I know he got hurt, but
no, he got hurt. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sunday was the game they definitely should have won, and the other 3 would have been much tougher offensively, because it's like this offense has been great. Now, luckily, the bullpen for the Twins has been bad, but they scored legitimate runs off of Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober. Like, they didn't have to wait till the bullpen on Saturday. They crushed the starter. Friday helped a little bit because of the bullpen, but they did everything well this weekend. And I know Sunday was frustrating because they only had 4 hits. Cancello was good until he wasn't, and then Matt Festa was, like you said, not great with runners on, and then Hunter Gaddis just didn't have it. That's going to happen. But the silver lining is, Jeff, Cade Smith didn't have to pitch on Saturday night. He didn't pitch on Sunday. He's not going to pitch on Monday. He's going to have 3 days off heading into this Tigers series. You might need him all 3 days. You might be able to pitch him all 3 days because he just had 3 days in a row off.
Agreed. You got to save him. I guess maybe they were saving Junis. Maybe that's what we're going to find out, is that they're saving Jake Junis, is why he didn't appear. But
they're on Friday. Seriously, I was serious. Like he won the game set on Friday night. Like that's a legitimate pitcher win. He gave them 2 great innings on Friday night.
Yeah, were they perfect innings too? On top of my head, I'm trying to remember. I think they might have been 2 perfect innings where he looked really good.
They might as well be perfect. I said build a statue. Build a statue of Jake Junis. Go for it.
Yeah, it's in all of it, it's okay. They lost Sunday, but like you're not going to keep winning, and they've won an unbelievable amount.
And nothing bad happened. Everybody else lost.
And you always want to see more and more and more, just because you're so close to like taking over. Like I said, if you manage to win today, and I'm not going to get mad at the bullpen. Like if I'm going to sit back at this game and be like, well, it's offense. Offense did not step up. Like it's 100%. After that first inning, there was no offense. Like literally, they had 3 total hits in the game. So it was one of those games. It was one of those games like earlier this year when they were so up and down, which is the one thing that kind of scares me. I'm like, this is one of those up and down games. Hopefully this is a blip and they'll go back to it. This is one of those games where I'm like, man, 3 stars is hard to come by. It's hard to figure out who's going to be your 3rd star in this one. So yeah, I that last game was just like, oh man, but hopefully that is the letdown game. And now they're going to go from there. You got Detroit. And it's just this. It's what I talked about back in May. It's what I talked about maybe even as early as April. It's like you win series, you'll make the postseason, and that's where we are right now. 2 series to go. If they win both these series, postseason bound. That's all it takes.
Yeah, if they win 2 or 4 of 6 over the next 6 games, and somehow the Astros are perfect, I guess they're out. But
I mean, you're gonna knock Detroit enough out of that. If you go 2 and 3, like there's a good chance it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah, and they got to play Boston over the weekend, and mm-hmm. Boston will be fighting for positioning too. Like that series is going to matter. They moved up Tarek Skubal to Tuesday, the Tigers, so he'll pitch Tuesday in the final day.
And that way he gets 2 starts to end the year for them.
Yeah,
that's why they move him up like that.
But also because I don't think they wanted to lose game 1 of the Guardians series because they know
I think it's more important about just making sure he gets 2 more starts. With the way they've been, they need those 2 starts from him.
They do. So. It's going to be an interesting week for sure. It's going to be an interesting week. I also want to point out too, like I mentioned on Friday's show, I said the thing I'm worried about most is after an emotional Tiger series that there would be a letdown in Minnesota that, they spent all their energy trying to win that series in Detroit. Didn't happen. I know they lost on Sunday, but you swept a doubleheader. You took 3 or 4 in Minnesota. You beat 2 really good pitchers. I guess we'll call it 3 if you count Pablo Lopez. But there was no letdown in Minnesota.
No.
That looked like a team that is focused, has its head down, trying to win the game and not worrying about everything else. So which means good things will come to them. And I think that'll keep happening this week. I think the loss on Sunday will refocus them. It'll allow them to breathe a little bit and say, okay, we don't have to keep being perfect. We just have to go out and win the game. So going to be a fun week here on Locked On Guardians, as it's been the whole month, really. On tomorrow's show, we will touch on the Tigers previews. We'll have a full preview of the Tigers series. We still have to talk about whether or not Stephen Vogt deserves Manager of the Year at this point. And we got to talk Daniel Espino. He made his return to the mound on Saturday for the Clippers, for the Guardians organization. We'll dive into that on Tuesday's show. You're not going to want to miss any second of it.
Again, thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Do your part. 30 away from 5,000 on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed, hey, why not do us a favor and click the subscribe button? Thank you all for joining us. We hope you're having as much fun as we are. And go Guardians, go.